Hello. I am not as energetic a person as Keith, so I am going to use the microphone. I am Alexander Danner. I am currently engaged in producing audio drama, which is going to be the bulk of where I'm speaking from today. Now, unlike people in most mediums, I often have to answer the question, what is that? Anyone here familiar with audio drama? Anyone listen to Welcome to Night Vale, Limetown? Okay, audio drama is audio-only storytelling, and people usually start by asking, oh, is that like old radio drama? And the answer is yes, but kind of like how Breaking Bad is like The Honeymooners. There have been decades of aesthetic and stylistic development since those old shows that people still know of. But it's a medium that has really had a rebirth, at least in the United States, just since the advent of podcasting. And it is growing very quickly right now. The show I co-produce, is called Greater Boston. It's set locally. It's very much about community and about our community here. It's set in a Boston that is very similar to the real Boston, with a little bit of a magic realist thread running through it. In our Boston, the North End is still sticky from the molasses flood, which is a real historical disaster. If you don't know it, please look it up. Our Wonderland is still the amusement park that closed in 1911. And it is a full cast, fully produced story. It's episodic. Our first season was 12 episodes. We have upwards of 20 actors, we have 6 musicians, we have 2 writer-producers, we've got a sound guy. It's a lot of people involved in making a show like this, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. You know, like I said, the show's themes are about the intersection of, about community, and specifically about the intersection of personal ambition with finding your place in a community. And so I'm going to talk about the connected theme, the creative side of that, which is collaboration. And specifically how collaboration can drive the creative act, even before you get to the point of the actual act of collaboration. But to talk about my personal approach to collaboration, the way I go about it, I have to jump back 10 years, to 10 years before I had really thought about audio drama at all, back to when I was still working in a different medium, which was comics. This was the early aughts. There was a big movement happening at the time in web comics, which was the beginning of people creating comics and publishing them online. And I was very eager to break into that community in that form. I don't draw. I only write, and I was approaching comics as a collaborative art form. Now, comics has a fraught history with collaboration. There's a major cultural divide between people who are very into collaboration and people who are outright hostile to collaboration. Which there are historical reasons for that. It goes back to the rift between commercial superhero comics versus artistic underground comics, where the commercial comics were all collaborative and the underground comics were mostly solo creators. And that created the artificial idea that if you are a serious artist working in comics, then you need to pursue the pure artistic vision of working alone. To which I say, because when anyone other than a chemist talks about the importance of purity, I'm immediately suspicious. So I was committed to the idea that I wanted to make comics, and I wanted to make comics collaboratively, and I wanted to make artistic comics collaboratively. I wasn't trying to get into superheroes. And so I approached that in the way that made sense to me. I started writing scripts for short pieces, and then going out and trying to find an illustrator to draw the script I had written. And that didn't work very well. You know, I was writing the script, and then I was kind of posting ads, looking for interested artists. Every now and then I get one done, and it's nice. But getting buy-in from an artist interested in drawing my story that I've written is very difficult, especially because drawing a story is a tremendous amount of work. You know, it takes much longer to draw the comic than it does for me to write the comic. And so the artist has to be really interested. And so eventually, I found this one artist, found his work online. I didn't know him at all. A guy named Bill Duncan. And he was doing his comics in a style that really grabbed me right away. He was working in vector style art, which was still very new at the time. He was creating almost a cut paper effect digitally, and doing very cute, but with, you know, dark undertones type of stories. And I really liked what he was doing. And I looked at his work and I was like, I really want to work with this guy. I like the art he's doing. And so what I did was, I wrote a script. I didn't take one of my scripts and say, oh, I'm going to send him one of these scripts. I thought, what kind of story would this guy like to draw for me? And I sat down and I wrote a script that was not the first idea that came to mind, but the idea that I thought this guy would read and immediately need to draw it. Right? I wrote him a script. And then I sent him an email, and I told him, you know, I found your, and he's, you know, at the beginning of his career too. This would certainly not work with someone who was already a successful paid artist, but we were at similar points in our careers. And I sent him this email, I said, you know, I read your comics, I really like them, I love your art style, they inspired me. And I wrote this script, and I wrote this script just for you. And that was the beginning of the first great collaborative relationship of my career. Because he you know, was flattered, first off. That always helps. But I got the script right. You know, I looked at his work and thought, what am I going to write that is the thing this guy will enjoy drawing? And he read the script and he wanted to draw it because it was the right thing for him. And so that was where I flipped my approach to, should have brought some water. That is where I flipped my approach to collaboration. I stopped creating a thing and then trying to find the right person to execute it. I found the person I wanted to work with and created something that they would need to act on. And for a long time I worked with Bill Duncan, and I did this with a few other people. And the thing about it was, you know, there were a lot of benefits to me in approaching collaboration in this way. Number one was I got a lot more of my comics drawn, right? So just in terms of actually getting complete work, it was a great help. But on top of that, my writing got a lot better. Because I wasn't just, oh, thank you so much. Here you go, guys. Because writing for a specific intended person forced me to evaluate where I was repeating myself and where I was falling into habits, and where I wasn't pushing myself to try something new. And so even working with the same person, as I worked with Bill Duncan for a couple of years after that, I needed to write in a way that I would continuously surprise him, right? Because if I just keep giving him the same thing over and over, he's going to get bored. You know, even if it's a different story, if it's too similar, you know, I have to keep challenging him in the ways he likes to be challenged. And that forces me to challenge myself in new ways. So this brings me to, you know, one of the first advice that any writer is given, and the advice that I hear writers give all the time is, write the story you want to tell. Or read or hear, not write the story myself, write the story you want to read, excuse me, or hear or see depending on the medium. And that's fine advice, write the story you want to read. I mean, certainly don't write a story you don't want to read, right? But in terms of advice in picking the project to pursue, I think it's very limited. Because I think most people, if you're a storyteller by nature or a creative person by nature, you probably don't have just one story, right? You've probably got a dozen stories or 24 stories. And writing the thing you want to read isn't a matter of spotting that one thing and going for it. You've got to pick the one among the couple dozen to be the one to pursue right now. And the way that I narrow down those ideas and decide what to pursue is by thinking first about who I'm going to be working with. The reasons for that is, again, you get people much more willing to work with you, but you also get a much deeper buy-in from your collaborators and much more enthusiasm from them if you've given them the thing they want to work on. And once you have your collaborators' enthusiasm, that works towards selling the idea to the rest of the world. So to go back to audio drama, so now I've worked in comics for a while. I kind of finished up my time there. I still dabble in that. But a couple of years ago, I moved into audio drama. And the path I got there was, at this point, I've got a couple of things going on. I'm at this point also writing prose fiction. And I'm meeting weekly with my friend Jeff Van Dreesen, who is also writing prose fiction. And we have a back and forth critique that we do of each other's work. But at this point, we're both getting really frustrated with where our careers are. We're both writing short stories and sending out short stories and trying to get them published in magazines. And that's a very competitive field. It's very hard. We're both getting back. I mean, he's a really good writer. I think I'm a really good writer. And we're both getting back, rejection after rejection after rejection that's saying, wow, we really liked this story. Here's what we liked about it. This was a really good one. Please keep sending us stories. But we don't want to publish it. Right? We were getting, these really flattering no thank yous to our work over and over and over again. So it's a lot of effort that goes into getting a short story published, and there isn't a whole lot of payoff at the end of it. It's not a medium that pays well, and you're not going to get famous writing a short story. There's only so much that does for you. So we're working incredibly hard chasing a very small payoff. At the same time, I've got another friend who's out in LA, my oldest friend in the world, and he tells me he has started taking a voice acting class. Right? This is just something he's decided he's going to do. I knew him as an actor before this. He did theater all through when we were in high school and college, and I knew he was a very talented actor already. And now he's taking this voice acting class, and I immediately think, oh man, I wish there was something I could do to help him out. I know he's really good. I want to do something to get him working. And then I'm thinking, okay, I've got this friend who's an amazing actor. I've got this other friend who's my writing partner, and we met in playwriting classes in grad school. So I know he can write a script. I know I can write a script. I know we're both frustrated with what we're working on right now. And I'm thinking about how can I get these two guys who I really respect working so that other people can see how good they are. And at the time, I'm listening to Welcome to Night Vale and Another The Truth. Those are the two audio dramas that I was listening to initially. And I knew there were more happening and that was an ongoing thing. And so I decided, okay, here's a medium where I can get my actor friend working, and I can get my writer friend working with me. This is what I need to do. And it entirely came from, I had people in my life who I knew had talent, and I knew those talents were worth getting out there. And so I set out to create a project that would highlight their talents. And my own, of course. I mean, there's always a self-serving aspect to it. But the idea came from, the push to jump into this new medium came from knowing that there were people in my life who would buy into it if I did it right and did it with them in mind. And so I got my friend Jeff interested. He took a little convincing, but once he was sold on the idea, he jumped in all the way and has been writing it with me and is amazing. And the other thing that we had at our disposal is, like I said, we both studied playwriting in college, and we still had a lot of friends from that time who were actors. And we, most in particular, had a lot of incredibly talented women actors. So as we're starting to develop this show, the first thing we realize is, okay, these are the people, right? These are the people we've got. We've got access to like 5 incredible women actors. There better be at least that many really meaty roles for women in this show, right? And so that was another element in deciding what kind of show we're going to do. It has to have really strong, interesting, complex women, because those are the actors we've got. I mean, there's other good reasons to do that, but we had the immediate resource. We had the people in our lives who would make that the right way to approach making that show and know we have buy-in. But again, in order to make the show work, the first thing we're thinking about is these have to be characters that the actors we know will immediately want to play, right? It's not a matter of creating a character that we just like and then convincing people to play it. They need to read this script and say, yeah, I want to be that person in that story. And we wrote our characters with the actors in mind, so that they would read it and say, oh, that's for me. And so that is a big part of how this show came to be. And again, that worked very well for us. We have, like I said, we have upwards of 20 actors at this point. And this has been a continuing process too, this idea of think of the actor first and then create the role. You know, we did our first season, we finished our first 12 episode season a couple months ago. And we had all of the characters that we initially wrote in based on the actors we had. And then there were a number of secondary characters, and we had other people join in the show playing those secondary characters. And some of those extra actors who came in were amazing in their own right. So as we're entering into season 2 of the show, it's okay, now we've got these other actors who are really phenomenal. We need to create new characters who are just going to be these people. And so 2 of those people who played background characters in our first season are our antagonists in the second season. You know, we created characters that we knew they would love playing. Whether it's because in one case it's just a really charismatic villain, and I knew my friend would love playing just a really charismatic villain, or in the other case I created a character who is just, personality-wise, the polar opposite of who she is. And I knew she would have a ball playing this person she would despise. But again, knowing who we had drove the development of the story and the characters, and how we were going to make a season of audio that would be compelling and would have enthusiastic performances from all the people involved. You know, performances from people who are already thinking ahead to, I can't wait to see what I'm going to be doing in season 3 when we get there, right? The actors have to be eager for the rest of the story. So the idea here is you have 3 audiences. When you enter a creative project, you have 3 audiences. The first audience is you. You know, that's the story you want to read. Okay, that's your first audience. But your second audience is your collaborators. And those are the people you have to entertain before you can expect to entertain anybody else. But if you entertain them, they'll sell it to everybody else. And that's your third audience, which is all the other people in the world who aren't involved in making this product. And I'm talking about this from the perspective of writing a script, making an audio drama, or making a comic. But this goes for anything. If you're making muffins and you want to sell muffins, make muffins that the people who work for you like to eat. And then when the customers come in, they're going to be, oh, you've got to try this. This one's new. This one's my favorite. You have to try this muffin. I mean, when you go into a store and like the person who works there is like, oh, this was the best thing I've eaten here, don't you take that recommendation? Yeah. So, yeah, that brings me to the end of my thing. I'm ending weekly, I apologize.
Let's do one round of applause for Alexander. We have about 3 or 4 minutes. If we have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand.
I love answering questions.
Go for it.
So I'm really interested to hear what you're saying about the creative, but I'm also interested in what the business model is for audio dramas.
Oh, we're still figuring that out. There are a couple of audio dramas that make real money. Welcome to Night Vale is really the #1 audio drama that actually is making money. They have just a phenomenally huge audience. It's kind of mind-blowing. They tour the world doing live shows and sell out theaters everywhere they go. In the US, in Europe, they've just had this tremendous success. That's unusual, that's an outlier. Most of us are doing a mix of, we have Patreon, which is a crowdfunding platform specifically for artists. Patreon, P-A-T-R-E-O-N. And that's specific to serialized art. It's meant to, every time you put out a new episode, you get to charge your donors. And they pay whatever they want to pay for it. They'll say, oh, I want to pay you $1 every time you release an episode, or I want to pay you $10 every time you release an episode. So that's the one way that we're bringing in money. We are not bringing in nearly what it costs us to produce the show at this point, but it is bringing in money. And then the other thing is, shows sell T-shirts, they sell baseball caps, the usual. That worked really well for webcomics. Like the webcomics that really succeeded financially were the ones that were able to really tie in merchandise to what they were doing. So really, it was the humor strips did a lot better because you can take a gag and put it on a T-shirt, and the T-shirt will sell really well. If you're like writing your memoir, that's a little harder to make a T-shirt and feel good about it. So yeah, but a combination of live shows, if you're popular enough to sell tickets, merchandise, and Patreon is the business model right now. Not many shows are actually profitable. Most of us have only been at this for a year or two, though, so it's a very burgeoning field. Yes?
One thing that stood out to me was you said there could potentially be a season 3, and you just finished season 1. How long did it take you to, from kind of start to finish the first season, and how long do you see yourself kind of?
Our plan is 4 seasons for the show we're doing right now, so we've decided that. The first season we spent like 2 years between writing it and recording it and editing it. But I should add into that, we jumped into this medium with neither of us having the first idea how to do sound design or editing. We are completely self-taught. There are other people in our medium who started there and learned the technical skills first and then started telling stories, and they blow us away with what they can do technically. But we taught ourselves how to do the processes, and that was a big part of the time spent in that initial development. At this point, we are not masters of sound design, but we're competent and we can make our show sound good, and we don't have to put as much time into figuring out how to do it anymore. So we're actually, our second season launches in January. We only had a few months between the end of season 1 and the launch of season 2. And in that time, we wrote an entire 12-plus episode second season, and we're very near to the end of recording it now. Some shows go episode by episode. They write an episode, they record an episode, they release an episode. We do the whole season at once. We write the whole season, then record the whole season, and then kind of edit the episodes and do the production as we go. Yes?
Where do we listen and how do we support?
We're on iTunes. The name of the show is Greater Boston. Don't confuse us with the local. We're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Stitcher, we're on Pocket Cast, all the podcast apps. We are on the web at greaterbostonshow.com. We are on Twitter at @InGreaterBoston.
We'll send out
I am a
links.
dope and forgot to bring my handouts for the show I'm here to talk about.
And your merch.
Yeah. Marketing is not our strong point. Yes.
What's the synopsis of like the first season?
A guy dies on a roller coaster in the first episode. He dies because he doesn't like roller coasters, and his sister has dragged him onto it, and he gets to the top of the first incline, looks down at what's coming, and literally just says nope. And that's it for him. That sets a lot of people into motion, including leading to a referendum for the red line of the subway to secede from the MBTA and incorporate as an independent city. Yes.
Was the actor who died in the episode disappointed?
Oh, he's still in the show. That character is still in the show. He gets one line of dialogue in the first episode, but he is a continuing presence through his very detailed personal calendar that he kept and letters he has sent. So that actor is a very big part of the show, and in fact, one of the he was nominated for Best Actor in the Audioverse Awards that we're waiting to hear the results on right now. Two of our actors were. He was, and the guy that I talked about earlier that I initially was thinking about when I started the show is nominated. They're competing against each other, which kills us. But yeah, both of them are up for Best Actor in the Audioverse Awards. And one of our actresses and one of our musicians has been very lucky. Thank you.
So unfortunately, we're out of time. But can I get one more big round of applause?